This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network, now in its 7th year. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey, this is Alex. This is the Ramble, and what you're going to hear here is Steve Kravitz from a past interview, and then we'll see you later on in the next about a half hour from right now. Let's talk about happy stuff with Steve Kravitz. Happy, right, Steve?
Always
the pinnacle of optimism.
That's me.
Yeah,
that's me.
Yeah,
always living the high life.
Well, how are you living in the post-COVID life here?
I like it. It's actually feels a little strange to go in a store and not wear a mask.
Yeah. Well, most of the stores here are still requiring masks.
Really?
Yeah, even though they go, well, if you at gyms now, I pass my gym, which I never go into, but I pass my gym. And,
there you go.
And well, they only charge me $15 a month, so why should I go in? Anyway, and they have a sign that says, "No one will be admitted without a mask unless you can prove you've been vaccinated."
Right.
So, this idea that you go into a store here and you have to wear a mask when you've been vaccinated is kind of counterproductive.
Right.
And secondly, if you want people to get vaccinated, then make it a real task if they're not for them to do stuff, because they have to put masks on when they go into stores and they have to, whatever. But if you've been vaccinated, give them a nice bonus, and that is you don't have to wear a mask. You're safe with other people. Don't worry about it.
But then they say that it's that new strand that's coming along,
well, the new strain is not what they're talking about. The new strain, we're protected against the new strain.
Right.
Okay. Pretty much. They figure. Here was the statistic of all the people that died. Okay, in the last little while, 99.5% of them were not vaccinated.
Is that right?
So what does that say?
Right, says everything. Says volumes.
So no matter about the Delta variant and things like that, the fact is that you're in pretty good shape.
Yeah, I'm not worried.
Yeah.
Are you worried?
Not really. I will still wear a mask when I'm in the subway. I'm going on a subway today, and I'm going to wear a mask. And I wear the mask basically because I'm going to hold up a bank. But no, I wear a mask because. By the way, when people do go to hold up banks these days, do they take their mask off?
Right. I never understood sunglasses as a disguise.
I somewhat understand it because you can change a person's appearance by not seeing their eyes.
Right.
Okay.
Well, if you know someone and they're wearing sunglasses, you know who it is.
See, do you know who I am now?
Yes.
Oh, okay. You can't see me because I can't see you.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah, but my feeling is that we are in a situation in which, if you've been vaccinated, really you should just be able to do anything you want to do. But you should be able to prove it, and that's why they should have these passports. These little identifications you can put on your phone, or you can show them the card that you've been vaccinated.
Right.
Those are a little less accurate because people are if you go online, they're selling those cards.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. But if you have to be okayed by the state, like I've got this little app here that I get from New York State, that it's called my New York wallet. See there, look, see,
Yeah.
there it goes. It's my vaccination card,
Right.
but it has to go to the state because they look at your records. So this is far better than the little cards
Like
they
a
give
what?
you, because you can buy those cards online and fill them out yourself, and then say I've been vaccinated. So having something like that is important. Now in several
Yeah, but
states,
my vaccination card has stickers on it.
does it really?
Yeah.
I didn't get any stickers. What are they? Cartoon characters or?
No, just sticker on where the date is.
Yeah, well, mine they sign it, and then
Right.
But anyway, this is a much better way of proving that you've been vaccinated.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and a
Right.
lot of states have banned these vaccination passports. Why, I have no idea. You know, they've turned this whole thing into a political issue. It's amazing.
Right.
Trump gave some kind of speech over the weekend, and he was going about no vaccinations and things like that. And I'm going, great. I'm all for you telling a bunch of Republicans don't get vaccinated, because
And the thing is,
they'll
and
all
the thing is,
die.
Trump is vaccinated.
I think he is. Yes, either that or he has the antibodies because he had COVID,
Right.
and he supposedly had a terrible case of COVID.
Oh, really?
But it didn't kill him, and they got him out of the hospital fast because they pumped him full of everything known to mankind
Right.
in order to kill that thing. He got the kind of help we all wish we could get.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But I mean, it was terrible. It was just terrible. And he, I think says well, I'm immune because I have antibodies. Good, and everybody. But here he goes to this Republican convention, the CPAC, and he tells everybody, they can't force you to do this. It's your right not to do this if you don't want to do blah 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 blah. Okay,
Right.
fine, okay. But the fact is that what you're doing is you're saying to those people, don't get vaccinated, and it's fine with me because they're all Republicans, and some of them will get COVID, and some of them will die. Okay. So what do you want to do? You want to ruin the people, the pool of people who will vote for you by
Right.
telling them not to get, you should want them to all have the shots and be healthy so they can vote for you.
I just wish Trump would just go away.
Well, he's not going to. His ego won't let him. There's some new books out now, a couple of them, about the last days of Trump in the White House. And
Really?
That literally his staff considered him insane, literally incapable of rational thought. And
And a rational hairdo.
I read this one interview that he did with a reporter, a guy named Wolf, I think, he said to him that he was who was the guy he put on the Supreme Court? I'm trying to remember his name now. That he was very disappointed in him because he didn't stand up for him in the Supreme Court. I'm sorry, he's in the Supreme Court. He's got to play it as he sees it.
That's right.
You can't be
That's right.
disappointed because you he says, and I gave this guy a job. Like.
Trump's a fucking idiot. I mean, just.
Well, he's a delusional idiot.
Yeah.
I mean,
And the banks are all calling in their loans, and there's criminal charges, and let's see what happens.
Well, there are no criminal charges. There's nothing against him. The company, his company, Trump,
Right.
whatever, Trump, is being charged, I think, with malfeasance of doing business in the state of New York. And
Really?
and of course the head of the finances and so on has literally been charged with fraud or whatever. So, we got and Trump's company, true to their fashion of really standing behind him, made a big deal out of it and said, we're gonna fire this guy because he's been indicted. He's been with the
Right.
company for 30 years, and they're going to fire him because he's been indicted. They don't even stand by him.
Well, I like that. I mean, I'm not against not standing by him. I mean, like, Why are we still talking about him?
I have no idea, to be honest with you. You know?
That's the worst part is we're still talking. He's still relevant,
Yeah, yeah.
because he's irrelevant.
Well, he's not really relevant, you know, and but he gets all the juice, you know. So
He commands, that he gets covered.
yeah, yeah.
You know,
So
I mean, when he does something, all the networks cover it.
yeah.
All the national, news.
I'll tell you, MSNBC doesn't cover him. I mean, he was giving the speech to CPAC, and they said we'll go back to him if he says anything new,
Right.
you know,
Right.
or
Right.
or important, or that isn't a lie.
Right.
You know, I mean, he's been perpetrating this big lie for the
Yes.
longest time about the election being stolen from him.
He still believes that.
It was wrested from him, but it wasn't stolen.
No, but he still believes that he won the election.
Yes, but we all know that he did.
Right.
So fuck him.
Right.
You know.
It's right there in black and white. You lost.
You know, there's a certain dignity in admitting you lost and then moving on.
Right.
You know, and
step down gracefully.
but if I don't get admitted to the Broadcasters Hall of Fame, I'm going to ask for a recount. And,
Oh yeah, you're up for that.
Yeah, and I'm going to say it was a fraud. You know, that I won it, and there was a fraud being played.
When is the award ceremony?
Oh, it's in, I don't know, November, something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But it's cool. Is this the first time you've been nominated?
Is it the first time? Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I didn't know how it works.
Yeah.
Different Hall of Fames operate differently.
Well, I mean, it's a contest. Okay.
Right.
You know, I mean, I've been nominated for the Hall of Fame, which is in itself, I mean, I hate to say it because it sounds so trite, you know, it's an honor just to be nominated, you know.
It is. It is.
But it's better to win.
It's much better to win.
Folks, do I sound like I'm being something here wrong, you know?
Well, no, it's a happy show. It's better to win.
It's better to win. So
Write that down, boys and girls.
Yeah, and I'm up against three other people. I'm up against this guy in California. I'm trying to remember his name now. He's a talk show host. I forgot all these things. I don't really remember them.
Right.
But he's a black talk show host who's a rabid right winger. And
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
I know. I don't know his name offhand, but I know exactly who you're talking about.
Now there's an audience vote where people can go and vote for who they want to see put in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but it only counts as 1/25. The other 24 votes are from the Board of Nominees. Okay, the nomination board. So
Right.
so you know, you could not have the audience vote and the regular the vote of the nominee.
Now let me ask you this: can you all get in?
No,
Only one?
only one.
Well, that sucks.
Whoever wins. Well, of course, it sucks from this standpoint. You got a Hall of Fame, right?
Right.
If you're going to have a Hall of Fame, then you just say, hey, by the way, the inductees this year are blah, blah, blah,
Right.
blah, 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 and blah, blah,
Right.
blah. You know, that's what they do with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
Okay, and I think most other Hall of Fames, they don't hold a contest either.
No, they do it the same way.
Yeah, they all get together, the nominating committee, and they say, okay, I think Elton John should get in the Rock and Roll
Right.
Hall of Fame this year, and so. You know, they put about 5 people in there every year. And they should do the same thing with this. They
Right.
say, oh, Alex Bennett's had a lifetime, maybe he should be installed in the Hall of Fame this year.
That's right.
And here are
That's right.
here are 5 other people that should be.
Right.
And then they also have categories, which I'm not in. I'm in spoken word, but they have active and current. In other words, these are people currently are on the air, and there are 4 categories of that.
Wait a minute. Let me ask you a question. The talk show host out of LA, is that Larry Elders?
Yeah, elders. Yeah.
Why do I know that?
I have no idea. Probably because you have no life. But he, the trouble is that because you have this audience vote, which they say the nominating committee sometimes looks at the audience vote to consider their opinion. Okay, there are 2 people who are on the air currently, Elder and these 2 guys from Philadelphia who I've never heard of in my life, and neither has anybody else. But apparently they've been on the air there for 20 years.
Really?
Yeah. But anyway, Elders can't plug it on his show. Go out and vote for me, because he's not going to have a show. And the reason he's not going to have a show is he decided to run for governor of California.
Oh, is that right?
Put his hat in the ring in that recall thing. So if you're running for office, you can't have a radio show. At least you can't have a radio show, because then the outfit that runs your radio show is incumbent upon them to give everybody else equal time.
Right.
To you.
Right.
Which means they'd have to give equal time at this point to over 60 people.
Right.
Right? So I don't think he can plug it on his show. The only other one that I think I'm really up against is Sally Jesse Raphael. And I know Sally for years. I mean, we used to work together.
Right.
And if I wish that anybody win but me, it's her.
Right. Okay.
In fact, maybe more so than me, because I like her, and she's had a lifetime of being in this business, and she's very deserving of it.
Right.
Okay. As am I. But
absolutely.
But I would have to say that she's older than I am. I've still got a chance to be nominated several more times in the coming years.
That's right.
She less so. She's like 86, something like that, 87.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. And I just would like to see her get it before she goes off to her just reward.
Right.
So I in a way, I'm pulling for her. I know it's strange, but I'm pulling for her. But if she doesn't win it, then I should. If those other 2 people win it, I think it's wrong.
Okay.
I don't think Larry Elders contributed anything to this business over the years. And I don't know what these other 2 guys have ever done, so obviously their contributions haven't been that huge.
Right. Minimal at best.
Well, I don't know who they are. They're probably 2 really nice guys. Maybe they do deserve it. I don't know. But where they came from, I have no idea. I expected there would be 3 other people there that I had heard of.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But I went, Elder, yeah, Sally Jesse, These guys, who are they?
Right.
Where'd they come from? And then I've asked everybody, who are they? And nobody seems to know.
You can't Google them?
Oh, I've Googled them. They've been on for 20 years at WMR in Philadelphia, which I think, is a long period of time, but I don't know if that qualifies you for the Hall of Fame.
Right.
But getting back to what I was saying is that it really should be for a lifetime of work.
Right.
And I don't think there's a posthumous category. I don't believe. I didn't see. They didn't say they were putting anybody in posthumously. But there were a lot.
Did they send you a notification?
Yeah, they sent me a letter. Yeah. Notifying me that I got a call the night before from one of the members of the board, the nomination board, who said, "Here, I'm going to send you this letter because they told me to send you the letter. Don't mention it to anybody till the 12th. You've been nominated for, the award, the induction into the Hall of Fame." But I just think it's the kind of thing you don't hold a contest. What you do is you get together and you decide this year Sally Jesse Raphael is going to be the recipient, or Alex Bennett's going to be the recipient. But you don't sit around going, and these are the 4 people who are up for it. Now everybody vote.
Yeah, I agree with you. If you get nominated, that should mean you're in.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, if I don't, get it, I'm not going to be disappointed. I'll be disappointed if it were Larry Elder or these two guys in Philadelphia. But if it was Sally Jesse, I'd be happy for her. You know.
Well, well,
You know, she was an okay lady when I knew her. And,
right, right.
I'm sure she continued to be okay.
Yeah,
I became good friends with. Well, there was a guy who was he actually was the doorman at WMCA when I was starting out here in New York, and he became her producer, and then I got to meet him again at Sirius XM, where he started working, putting together the Doctor Channel and so on,
right.
and Maurice Tunick, and he worked with her producing that show for years, the TV show. And
What does a producer actually do?
he does a lot, really. If you're a real producer, if you're an executive producer, you don't do anything. It's an honorary credit.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, some executive producers do take hold of the situation, and but very
Right.
very seldom. Anyway, so he never spoke badly about her. We always talked very positively about her.
Right.
So I mean, I've always liked her, and am I being magnanimous by saying I hope she wins? Deep down, I hope I win, but
Of course, you should hope you win.
but if it isn't me, then it better be her.
Wow. I wouldn't. I would be. If I got nominated for something like that, I would be confident I was in.
Well, look,
But that's just setting yourself up to be
Well-
disappointed.
well, there are two parts to this. Number one, yeah, I deserve it. I've had a lifetime in this business. I've
Right.
contributed to it. I've changed it by doing
Right.
certain things that other people then did.
Right.
Okay, so I changed the structure of morning shows across the entire country by having comics on. Nobody did that before I did it.
And an audience.
Yeah, I forgot to mention on my biography that I had a studio audience. But
Right.
forget about that. That was a function of having comics on because then they had somebody to play to. Okay?
Right. Right.
But the fact was that every other show in America started booking comics. Nobody booked comics before I did.
Right.
So
Right.
I changed the business that way. I changed the business years ago when I was the first guy to start interviewing rock artists.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when I would call up record companies and say, I would like your rock artist, this rock artist, and that. Do you have any rock artists we can have on? They went, you want to interview one of our rock artists? Because
Right.
nobody was doing it.
Really?
Yeah. So I mean, I think I have changed the business.
Okay.
Through my actions. I don't think Larry Elder has, and
Right.
I've never heard of these other two guys. Neither have they.
Right.
Sally was a woman working in this profession early on, so for that I think she gets some points. I
But you're
wouldn't.
right about the comics and doing the radio, because when you would do a gig in any city, you'd have to do their morning talk show.
That's correct. But before I started doing it, they wouldn't even book you on that show.
Right, right. And sometimes you get on the Good Morning, I don't know, Amherst.
One of the multitudes of morning zoos.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's the morning zoo. Hey, we're having fun. Honk honk. Sound effects.
Yeah, but I mean, your show was unique. It was unique in many,
Yeah.
the live audience, the
But
back
anyway,
and forth.
I looking back on a lifetime of work, I didn't just do the common things everybody else was doing. I always tried to bend the medium, change it, move it in different
Right.
directions and things like that. And because of that, I think I deserve it. I'm not even denying that I don't deserve it. But am I as well known as Sally Jesse? Not really. Am I as well known maybe as Larry Elder because he's currently on the air? I don't know.
Right.
A lot of people have very fond memories of Alex Bennett in New York, very fond memories of Alex Bennett in San Francisco. That's
Oh, yeah.
that's pretty much it. So,
Well, those are some pretty big markets,
well,
San Francisco and in New York.
yeah, but I never went syndicated. I never got all over the country,
Right,
and then everybody would have known who I was.
right,
You know, I was a local radio star.
right.
And there was nothing wrong with that, but in
No,
those days, most people were local radio stars, and syndication was something new. And now
right,
it's the only thing you want. You know, you want to be
right.
syndicated. So, you know, and so who knows?
Did you
Hopefully,
have the opportunity to be syndicated?
yes, yeah. But
And you said no?
well, it went along with the job I had to take, and then I would have had to leave San Francisco, and I felt guilty about that, walking out of the
Okay.
contract. But I would have worked for the guy who made Howard Stern a star,
Oh,
and he
really?
would have put me out across the country, syndicated.
Right.
But I didn't take it. So what the hell, you know? What it
Was
could
it
have.
was it the show you were doing in San Francisco that they were
No,
going to syndicate?
no. I had to go to Washington D.C. to do it. Oh, I got to turn this off. That's my the phone ringing. Well, anyway, I got to go. We've run out
Yeah,
of
I guess
time.
so.
I guess that's my business manager telling me I got to go.
Hi.
Anyway, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Once again,
Thank you,
Steve
Alex.
Kravitz. We'll talk again next week.
Yeah, sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, Stephen Kravitz. Bye, Stephen.
Bye.
This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network, now in its 7th year. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey, there was Stephen Kravitz. I'm a little out of sync here. Part of the problem being that we don't know what the problem is. We have never been able to figure out this sync problem. But as soon as we go to the citizen panel, of which there's only one person waiting right now, I will probably be in sync. Okay, so why don't we go to that? Let me see here. See, if I go to just me on the Zoom, you can see that I'm in sync for the most part. Okay, all right. Anyway, let me admit the only person waiting to go on, and that's Vernon Nunn. Boy, it's getting dismal, Vernon. I don't know what I'm going to do about this. You know, I may just have to say it ain't worth even turning the power on here, you know. But but certainly it's wonderful to have you here, and thank you for being here, and I appreciate it. Okay.
Two more days in paradise, then I got to head back to Kentucky.
Then you got to go back to Kentucky. Oh well.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. That'd be nice. You know, it's not. You don't hate Kentucky, do you, or do you?
No,
How
I
long,
like it there.
were you born and raised in Kentucky? Okay, here comes.
Yes,
You were born and raised in Kentucky, so it's kind of your
Yes.
home state, all right?
exactly.
Yeah.
I only lived outside of the state for about 3.5 years.
Yeah. So I mean, how bad can you really hate it? You know, if you were born and raised there, you know. I appreciate it.
I happen to live in a county that is
Wait.
leans
Hold
the
on a
same
sec- Hold on a second.
leans the same direction I do.
Somebody has their audio on. That'd be nice.
That's Jeff.
It's probably Jeff. Yeah.
No,
There.
I like it.
Well, no.
You were born and raised.
Are you? Have you got your browser open, Jeff?
Yes. You were born and raised.
Oh well.
Yep,
Yeah,
that
well, that
wet,
was
that
him.
wet.
It was definitely him. No question about that. Anyway,
Why is there nobody here?
I don't know. That's why I may stop doing this altogether.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, why should I do this? You know, I mean, if we don't get a decent number of people to call,
Well,
it's not
it's just
that.
8 o'clock, so
What?
at least- it's just 8 o'clock here in California, so
Yeah.
you got to give a couple people time to wake up.
Yeah, well, I you know, it just,
Yeah.
it's getting to frustrate me. Okay, I begin to wonder why do I go to all this trouble? I mean, I do it because certain people like Vernon enjoy being on the show. You enjoy being on the show, and I would hate to stop it for that reason. But you know, I find that, for instance, my show on Mondays gets a much better response than this show
Well, that's
does.
because people are awake.
Well, I mean, people are awake in California right now. It's only 8 o'clock in California.
Right.
You know, I mean, I thank John Larkin. It's only 8 o'clock for him. However, in Kentucky, thank you, Vernon. Vernon, I thank you very much for staying up this late so you can participate. You know?
What is
That's
it?
right.
10 o'clock?
We're on East Coast time.
Oh,
Yeah,
11
yeah.
o'clock. Wow.
Yep. So, hello, John Larkin. How are you? Haven't seen you in a little bit. You been out working
Yeah, working and shooting pool.
and shooting pool.
That's
Yeah.
more important than getting on Alex's show. I don't understand that.
But shooting pool? Well, wait
Well,
a
I'm in a
minute.
pool. I'm in a pool league. You know.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
And do you play for money or what? What's the story?
No, it's just a league. We play a bunch of different bars in the city.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. So, you know, I never. Did I ever play pool? I mean, I think I tried once. You know, but it just didn't grab me. You know,
Yeah.
as a pursuit. I'm not much of a person into competitive stuff.
Yeah.
In the 80s and 90s, I was really into playing pool. I bought a pool table. It's sitting in my living room collecting dust.
That's right. Okay. So you see, I mean, to say that I'm not competitive is I guess wrong, because I was in broadcasting and I did radio shows and I had to get ratings and get better ratings than the next guy. So I guess I was kind of in a form of competition there. So
You never played any sports or anything like that, or
no, not really. I swam a little bit in high school.
yeah.
You know, I turned out to be the towel boy for the swimming team. It was, you know, I was going to say that I filled the pool with water. That was my job. And
The towel boy, huh?
yeah, but by the way, I just wanted to say something here. The reason why we've been playing reruns of Steve Kravitz is because, number one, my conversations with him I think are terrific. I really enjoy them, and I've liked them, and I want to keep him on this program. What happened was he disappeared for about a week, and finally I found out what happened to him, and I'm not going to say what happened to him. That's private to him. But he will be coming back on soon. So in the meantime, I'll just play reruns of him whenever I need to fill the time.
Well, I hope he's okay.
He's okay. He's okay. Yeah, he is
I know
okay.
you were concerned.
I was very concerned because when
Right.
you don't hear from somebody for like a week and a half, who
Right.
you're used to hearing from all the time, you know.
All right. Well, as long as he's okay, that's
yeah,
all. that
he's
matters.
okay. He's all right. Little bit of problems here and there, but if he wants to talk about it, fine. But I'm not going to talk about it for him. Okay. But anyway, I just want everybody to know that he's okay, and that was important. So anyway, Alan, anything you want to talk about?
No, I haven't even heard the news today. The only thing I saw was an email from the AMA, the American Medical Association, that the CDC approved Moderna and Johnson & Johnson for boosters, and they also approved if people got the Johnson & Johnson, you could get one shot of Moderna or Pfizer and do better than a second shot of just Johnson & Johnson.
Well, I think we found out that Johnson & Johnson really was meant to be a 2-shot deal.
Yep, I think you're right.
And they just kind of tried to get it through as a 1-shot deal, figuring that, well, a lot more people will get Johnson & Johnson. But now everybody's got Johnson & Johnson, has to go out and get a second one. And they also say you can mix and match. If you got if you got Johnson & Johnson, you can go get Moderna.
The numbers, this will come out tomorrow or the next day. The numbers for the mix and match are, like 300 or 400 people. It's not a lot of people. And so they're assuming that you'll be able to mix and match without a problem.
Yeah.
The only people that are going to mix and match really that would make a difference to the people that got their first shot of Johnson and Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll come out in the next couple of days, I'm sure, that they don't want, if you got a Pfizer and you can get a Pfizer, get one. But if you're somewhere where all they have is Moderna, get the Moderna for a booster. They would prefer you to get what you originally got. A Moderna or a Johnson, you can get whatever you want.
Look who.
And until they get it in a few million arms, they're not going to know what the side effects are, if any.
Yeah, I doubt if there are any. So. What do I know? I'm not a Phil. What are you doing here tonight?
I figured I'd be in another body.
Yeah, good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
He came to defend Steve Bannon.
Yeah, sure.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
another low-hanging piece of fruit. Trump will summarily dismiss and say, you're going to jail. Enjoy your time there. I'm not coming with you.
Yeah. Yes, John.
Hey, did you hear Trump got a new social networking site?
Wow.
And he's valuing it at 1.7 billion.
Wow. What's this?
Wait a minute.
75 million.
No, 1.7 billion. I read. He said
it's called Truth and something.
Yeah, he says it's worth 1.7 billion.
Immediately out of it doesn't even have to have anybody who belongs to it yet, right?
so and it's like a public domain.
If Trump went on Shark Tank, they'd say the valuation was a little high.
So is this
Westchester?
Did he buy MySpace or something?
What'd you say?
No, it's like a public domain version of Twitter that anybody can use, and so he just put a name on it and put it out there. There's nothing to it.
Does it already exist and he just put his name on it? Oh, I see.
It's like a public domain version of Twitter that anybody can set up their own Twitter.
Oh,
anybody can do that.
Gee, we're all doing this now, right?
Yeah. Everybody's playing with their putty.
I don't need it because I got my shot here, so I'm okay. So.
All right.
But what was it? I'm so happy that they finally found this guy Laundrie's body in various chomped up alligator parts.
Oh shit!
Down in Florida, because thank God that should be the end of the story. I am so sick of that story. Huh?
Audrey says no ticky, no shirty.
Yeah, right. But no, apparently that was him. They found his backpack or something with a notebook. We'd love to know what's in the notebook. And
is this the guy that killed his wife and they were looking for him?
No. His girlfriend. His fiance. Yeah.
Yeah. Gabby Petito.
Yeah.
Gabby Potato.
But this is one of those stories. I don't know how you feel about it, Vernon, but this is one of those stories. It just got way too much play.
Well, you know why?
Well, because
why it got so much play.
Two reasons. She's cute, right? And the other reason, cute and white all fall in the same category. And the other one is, and this is very important, they had video. They had video.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Video.
They didn't have all that video. They wouldn't even be paying attention to just be another woman who got off by her boyfriend in the mountains somewhere.
Yeah.
So
they found her, right?
Yeah.
They also found 5 other bodies, not related to, I believe, the thing.
In the alligator?
But these 5 bodies were missing people.
Where in that same area? Oh, really?
Well, those alligators were hungry.
No. They found her out west.
Yes.
Well, they found her up in the mountains in Wyoming, was it? I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah. Colorado, Wyoming.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, something went on there. And of course, something went on there.
Lover's Triangle or something that didn't work out real well.
Well, no. What?
If he would have killed her in Yellowstone National Park, he could have got away with murder.
Why?
Because there's a part of Yellowstone National Park that has no jurisdiction. so there'd be nowhere to try him. So he couldn't get a trial. So technically, it's called the dead zone.
Okay, so what you're saying is to everybody who's listening, if you want to kill off your wife or somebody like that, just go out to Yellowstone and find out where the dead zone is.
Yeah, it's on the border of Idaho and Wyoming.
Yeah, the trouble with that, John, is Yellowstone is a federal park. So it's federal land.
No, look, I'm not going to murder anybody there and take the chances. But
right.
I'm telling you.
Okay, I've never heard that.
Well, you've always seemed a little strange to me.
Yeah.
So I can't figure that one out.
Who disappeared? Where did Vernon go?
Vernon went somewhere. He'll be back, I'm sure.
Oh
yeah. He's up in the mountains, and so I think he probably has some kind of problems that way. But anyway, anybody else want to call tonight? I love all these people who talk who write me notes and say nasty things about people like Phil and so on, and yet they never call the show themselves. All right, which is a kind of
they're low-hanging fruit. Who cares?
Yeah, right. Here we go. Vernon's back here. Let me just let him in. Okay, there he goes. I don't know. I haven't been watching the news that much either. But did I hear something right or wrong here, Vernon? That Medicare is thinking of giving dental?
Yeah, that's one of the things in the Build Back Better plan. It's my understanding that they wanted to not have to go through a Medicare Advantage program. These Medicare Advantage insurance companies will offer that, but you have to sign up for their Medicare Advantage plan in order to get it.
Now, the Medicare Advantage plans are the cheaper of the two plans. You can get that or you can get the supplemental, right? But the Advantage, for some reason, even though you pay a fortune for the supplemental, the Advantage does give you some dental and does give you hearing aids, I think.
And vision. Yep.
And vision.
Yeah, I just read my roommate's thing. I got a couple of years.
So why are we paying $300 a month for?
Because you don't have Kaiser, which is the biggest Advantage Plus group in the country.
No, I think Humana is a big one too.
But wait a minute. Supposedly the Advantage plans are not as good as the supplemental. Okay. The supplemental, I this year have not paid a penny. I don't have any.
And neither have I.
Yeah.
Neither have I. And I've got a secondary insurance. Medicare is my primary, and we have other insurance that's
as your supplemental. Yeah. Right. You do the supplemental. You don't do the Advantage for your secondary.
No.
Right.
You wealthy folks can have.
Well, no, it isn't that. I got a wife who works, and her company is paying for it.
Oh, that's nice.
Okay. Well, once she leaves that job, I'm going to have to take her to Wyoming or Yellowstone, excuse me.
Oops. He's just joking, everybody.
Yeah. So, Phil, what brings you here tonight? You just felt like you saw me floundering in the wind and you wanted to add to the...
I think I'd, put another face on the board, and I don't know how much I'll contribute, but...
Well, you never contribute anything, but nevertheless, it's always a pleasure to have you here.
He didn't want it to be just you and me, Alex. That's what it was.
But yeah, if it were just you and me, this would be like...
tune in until you had a couple more on.
Yeah.
A couple of morons? Who's a couple of morons?
Yeah.
Whatever happened to that guy from New Jersey that looks like Shrek?
Yeah.
What was that guy's name? He got all pushed out of shape.
Well, that's what happened. He got all pushed out of shape, and we haven't seen him since.
Robert
Natale. Yeah, we don't know what happened to him.
Federal authorities?
Huh?
Probably got picked up by the feds.
Yeah, probably. No, he just got all pissy. One night, for some reason, I felt he got pissy unnecessarily.
It was just...
Got pissy with Phil unnecessarily.
Yeah, he was a bully, and I stood up to him, and he didn't like that. And, that's what happens with bullying.
Didn't he get mad at me because I defended you? Or I didn't defend you, but I defended your right to say what you say?
Yep.
trial afterwards, and I never mentioned his name. I didn't think it was the right thing to do to talk about him, although time passed. But yeah, the guy was a bully, and I think he's been indoctrinated to a lot of those things that they teach you in school. That the teachers are doing, that critical race theory and
maybe he went to he doesn't live in a big city in New Jersey.
Let me ask somebody who would know.
He went to S.
Vernon,
you know, one of those.
Yes.
Vernon, what exactly is critical race theory? I have never had it explained properly to me.
I think it is a misnomer the way it's being used. Calling it critical race theory is really not factual. What the Republicans are calling critical race theory is any discussion about how this country started out with slavery, etc., and how the history of this country ended up like it did with the Civil War, etc. You know, you'll find people right now who think that the Civil War was not about slavery; it was about states' rights, but that's bullshit.
Yep.
Well, I could argue this and see if you agree or don't disagree with me on this. That Lincoln did emancipate the slaves as an economic sanction against the South.
Somewhat, yes.
Yeah. And that it was an economic sanction. People say, oh, he's the great emancipator. Well, he's kind of the guy who kind of wanted to, take the South and take them into an economic disadvantage. Okay. Now, granted, to have an advantage economically because your labor is free.
Yeah.
Okay. All you have to do is feed them and put some shoes on their feet. Is not a way to run an economy. But nevertheless, they lived on that economy. That was very important to their economy, and the whole war was fought for economic reasons. If you don't, most things are fought for economic reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, but really, what the real trigger was about the Civil War, what the real trigger was not necessarily the states in the South that had slavery at the time. It was the United States expanding towards the West, and which states were going to have slavery and which states were not going to be allowed to have slavery was the trigger.
Oh, okay. Yeah. How many states do you think, if we kept slavery, how many states do you think of the other states that have become states so far would you think would become slave states?
50.
Missouri for sure, and Texas probably, Oklahoma probably.
How about Arizona or New Mexico?
I'm not so sure about Arizona, New Mexico, Wyoming, Colorado. I'm not sure
the whole West Coast wouldn't have been that way.
What want these illegal aliens to come over? They're looking for cheap labor.
There's no such thing as an illegal alien. There's no such thing as an illegal person.
As woke as you want. These guys are.
Wait a minute, Phil. Before you go further, I want Vernon explain that when you say to him that there is no such thing as an illegal alien.
Okay, what he's talking about are people who come over who are undocumented. There's a difference between being undocumented and being illegal. Okay, it's illegal for me to go out and commit murder. That's illegal.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not illegal for me to exist as a human being.
No, but Vernon, is it illegal for someone to come into this country without going through the proper channels and procedures?
Yes.
Yes. So therefore, they're illegal.
Yes, it's legal.
They are illegally
in this country.
Well, we just lost Vernon again.
But that's the minutia of it. What my statement was the fact that so many people want cheap labor. They want them.
And that's the companies. The companies should be punished who are hiring these people.
Farms. It's all
look, Phil.
On this cheap labor. Just what you were talking about with the Civil War and the fact that the South wanted this cheap labor It's happening here. So you asked the question, how many states want slavery? And I said 50. And the reason I said 50 is because that's what they're trying to do. That's why they're all.
That's not my understanding of the question. The question was how many of these other states that were later added to the Union would probably have had slavery legal.
Right. Well, hold on a second.
Well, by that logic, you would have to say, well, how many Africans were coming from Africa in the 1800s trying to get in here to be slaves? You know, those people are coming to cross the border for a better life.
The Europeans came over as indentured servants and worked for 7 years to learn a trade and then to have their freedom. And their servitude was paid by people that used them as basically slaves.
I agree with you there. That's true.
And so this was a type of thing that's been used all along.
So, wait a minute. Are you standing up for slavery?
No.
Oh, okay. All right. Are you standing up for people not wanting to come to this country? I mean, I would suggest they don't come to this country, but, you know.
Yeah. There was an essay by Emerson on compensation. And what he talked about is that mankind needs to be compensated for their work to make them whole. Now, I'm not a bigot, and I don't care what somebody's color is. I just believe that people should be compensated for what they do.
Well, okay. Well, thank you all very much for being on our show tonight, because I'm not being compensated. So that's it for tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
Phil, what do you think about what's going on in Texas right now?
There's a lot going on in Texas.
Okay, what about the gerrymandering? What do you think about the gerrymandering?
It's been gerrymandering for years.
Okay, well, Texas gets 2 more representatives from this last census. Guess what? 95% of the population increase that allowed them to get 2 more districts were people of color. But guess what? The 2 extra districts that Texas has gerrymandered into existence are going to be more white people.
Well, you know, a lot of people from California are moving to Texas because they want to get out of California.
That's changing the subject. I'm just saying, Texas has an increase in population, and 95% of that increase has been people of color.
Hold it.
But they're not being represented in this current redistricting that's going on in Texas.
California has lost 1 seat.
That's irrelevant. That's irrelevant. That doesn't give Texas the right to do what they're doing.
Finish what I'm saying. So because there's a couple of states where people from California are moving, and Texas is one of them. And so there's a lot of population that have left California. And I don't know if it's white or black or green, but the bottom line is California has lost a representative. You're telling me Texas has picked up 2, and I can see why, because people are moving from California and they're going to Texas.
No, they're not.
Oh, yes, they are.
They're not.
There are some. They're
going to others. They're going to.
That does not justify Texas giving 2 more creating 2 more representative districts that are not representative of the increase in population.
Vernon, California lost.
Phil, wait a minute. Hold on a second. Let me just jump in here. I've been having a fight lately with Marjorie about something, because she's always watching MSNBC and she's always yelling at the screen, "They're trying to rob the vote from us." And I look at her and I say, your vote was robbed from you years ago. You know, I can't say that there's probably ever been a time in the history of this country where elections have been totally not rigged in some areas. You know, I said, you ask a black person about whether they've been represented in the electorate, and they'll say, no, they never have been. I said, so to say that, oh, well, we're losing our right to vote, some people never had it to begin with.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
So we're supposed to be forming a more perfect union. That's been our goal in this country, is to form a more perfect union. We're never going to get it perfect, but to form a more perfect union means that every person should be allowed to vote, and every person should be represented in the Congress.
That's every citizen.
Well,
Every
we didn't
person.
say
The census doesn't say anything about citizenship, Phil.
Yeah.
And the census is what determines the districts,
But they
not the citizenship.
Vernon, they tried to ask about citizenship, and they took that question out. Remember?
That's because it was illegal. That's because it was unconstitutional.
But Phil, I think what Vernon is trying to say, Phil, is that boy, I'm kind of out of it right now. Is that you're to be represented is very important, and a lot of people are not going to be represented in Texas. That's it, plain and simple. And they're also, your guys, the Republicans, are trying to stop decent ability to get out and vote. I mean, what's wrong? What's wrong with being able to mail in to vote?
I mail in my vote. It's called an absentee ballot, but I have received a request. I sent in a request based on my voter registration, and therefore it's not just a bunch of ballots that can be dumped under a table.
Well, that's not happening. That's all
bullshit too.
That's nonsense.
Show me where that happened, Phil.
Nonsense.
Yeah, show me the evidence.
The only time they actually tried to find out if that happened or not was in Arizona, and they actually found out Biden got more votes than he originally looked like.
Yeah, because those are the votes that they were dumping.
Not true. And you know that.
This was the Trump-backed audit that said that, Phil.
Yes, and if you have a bunch of votes that only had one candidate on the ballot, and all the other candidates were left blank, wouldn't you think that those votes might be a little?
Phil,
show me a single ballot where that was the case, Phil. Show me one ballot.
Please,
show me one ballot in Arizona.
Phil,
where
you
that's
can
the
be
case.
stupid enough to vote for Trump. I'll give you that. Okay, all right. But don't be so stupid as to try and go with this whole the election was fixed, the election was rigged. If there was ever a rigged election, it was the one that Trump won, that the Russians meddled in on his behalf.
Because the swamp wanted him out.
Did you hear about the Secretary of State of Texas who offered $1 million to anybody in the country that could find fraud? And
Lieutenant Governor.
And the guy from Pennsylvania, the Secretary of State of Pennsylvania, found fraud there. There was 5 instances of fraud, and it was all Trump voters fraudulently voting. And so now the guy wants the $1 million.
How come?
The guy actually paid $25,000 to the dude that found the Trump voter that tried to vote twice.
How come there are finding that there are more votes in many counties than there are registered voters?
Where are you getting this information, Phil? Fox?
Yeah.
Hannity?
That's not true. It's nonsense.
Not true.
And
if that was the case, Phil, they would have shown up under the recounts.
Phil, if you want to say, if you want to say to me, Phil, hold it a second, Phil, because if I'm talking, we can't hear you anyway. Okay. The point is that I think that we have to admit that elections have been rigged forever. I mean, just go back to New York in the 1800s and Tammany Hall and all the elections they rigged in this city alone. And when you talk about rigging elections, I'm sure that there was nothing but massive voter fraud in the South when they wouldn't let blacks vote, when they had poll taxes and things like that. To say that we've had a perfect election system in all these years is ridiculous. It's always been a big ruse that we have the right to vote. You know, we have an illusionary right to vote, but now we want to make it real, Phil. That's what we want to do. We want to make it real. We want to really have the right to vote.
Yeah, I want to know if those people that were promised 2 chickens in every pot actually got them from Tippecanoe.
I got mine.
Yeah.
So just Google the Hayes Tilden election in like 18.
Oh, that was yeah.
That was totally a scam.
Yeah,
you know?
Totally rigged.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the fact is that to say that, oh, you know, we've been wonderful all these years and terrific, No. And so when Marjorie says to me, they're really trying to really screw with our ability to vote, I'm going, so what's new? You know, they've been doing this in various states for years. Ohio, it happens like crazy. The redistricting. Have you seen how these districts are portioned out? So they look, well, it looks a little like an appendix, but here it turns into a kidney, you know. I mean,
they want to cram all the Democrats into one district. So, you know,
and then
so they get all the House seats, even though, you know, maybe the Democrats will outvote them by like 2-1. Yeah. They end up getting only one representative, and the other.
But all I'm saying is, like I said to Marjorie, I mean, come on, we aren't doing we haven't ever done a great job in this country of having a really legal voting system, you know. By the way, calling in from Australia is our old friend Ross Manuel. Here he is. Hi, Doc. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah.
By like 2-1.
Wait a minute. Oh, you got to turn off your audio. Turn off your audio.
Jeff. Ross is the new Jeff.
Yeah.
When did I become the new Jeff?
What do you mean the new Jeff?
Background on.
Well, so, people do that. You know, it's a logical mistake, and plus,
not everybody's perfect like Phil.
I'm slowly getting to have my beard growing like Jeff's. You know, I'm letting it grow out.
It's looking better. It's really looking better.
Yeah, and of course my eyes.
Yeah,
you look like Marty Feldman now.
Yeah, exactly. So how are you down there in Australia? What's new?
Everyone's open and free now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and we have the most vaccinated population in the country, in the world.
In the world, what percentage? Do you know?
90%.
Ah, good for you. Good.
Wait a minute. A month ago, nobody was getting the vaccine. Now everybody's getting it.
I started street.
Did there become any kind of backlash about people who didn't want to get vaccinated and it's my right not to get vaccinated?
There was a little bit in Victoria because they were like the most locked down state in the entirety of the world.
Yeah.
But even their lockdowns ended, and they're 80% vaccinated. So.
Yeah. So good.
You know, the police force in there. There were some of the police force who didn't want to get vaccinated. So that resulted in about 140 police being stood down. You know, a couple of nurses didn't want to get vaccinated, resulted in about 80 nurses getting stood down. So it's, you know, everything's more or less back to normal.
Yeah, well,
there's a huge number of policemen in Chicago that don't want to get vaccinated.
Across the country.
You know something? I to begin with, I don't understand this. If I were a cop, I would want to get vaccinated precisely because I'm having to deal every day with people spitting in my face and having close proximity to me. It's not because I want to protect other people, you know. It's because I want to, protect myself.
Police paid for me to get Hep B vaccination because I guess there was, the spittle and things when you come in contact with some people, they could spread Hep B, I think. By their spit.
Yeah, but
what does this got to do with cops and COVID?
3 shot.
Yeah, what does it have to do with cops and COVID, Phil?
It's really got. It has to do with the fact is that he had mandated vaccines when he was a cop.
Yeah, it wasn't mandated. It was offered, and I could take advantage of it, which I did. And the city of Richmond paid for it.
Do you think all cops, Phil? Do you think that all cops should be vaccinated?
No.
Why?
It's free.
What do you mean it's choice? No, you don't have a choice. Not where the public welfare and health is concerned.
I had a choice to get the Hep B vaccination.
Yeah, but hepatitis B doesn't kill people in large numbers.
You know?
No, he's absolutely right.
Got the freedom to decide. This is
not in a public health situation.
Not in a public health
situation. In that case, Phil. In that case, then your employer has the right to not employ you.
Right.
And they're doing that, and cops are resigning.
That's the choice you make. There's consequences with freedom. Freedom.
That's right.
Oh, this isn't freedom,
Freedom's not
Phil.
free.
This is not like let's go fight wars over something. Come on, this is something that we're doing for the benefit of our country and the health and the welfare of everybody in it.
I think that the reason that they're doing it is because they're being forced to do it. And
No, I wasn't forced to do it. Yes, Jack Bishop is here.
Hey, Phil, were you forced to get a vaccination when you started school?
I don't know.
You don't know? Unbelievable. Now you're don't lie to me if you're going to lie to yourself.
I don't know. I was 4 or 5 years old.
Oh, all right. How much? Listen.
Well, we can tell you were.
In no time in the last, you and I are around the same age. In no time since the 40s, in most urban areas, those are big cities for folks that don't understand that word, could you start school without some sort of vaccination for at least smallpox and usually for a couple of other things? Don't you have that little scar on your arm, Phil?
I wasn't given the choice of vaccination.
Oh, boy, Phil.
But
Phil,
no, your
Phil.
parents weren't given the choice.
My parents took.
Your parents were not given the choice.
Wait a minute.
It was
Wait a minute. Oh,
mandated by the state.
Jack. Let me say something here. If you don't get vaccinated, and then you come and blow in my face, and I get it, okay. I didn't volunteer to get COVID, but you gave it to me.
You got vaccinated.
Well, that doesn't mean anything. There's breakthroughs with the vaccinations. There's some people who have died who were vaccinated.
Look at Colin Powell.
Well, Colin Powell was a slightly different situation. There were other mitigating factors there that had they not been.
But he was fully vaccinated, though.
He was fully vaccinated. But, I mean, you don't have the right to impinge on my health.
Well, it's there.
You're going to find a hard place to try and make an argument here.
Oh, well, you see, I went to a restaurant the other night. Actually, it was Ruth's Chris.
Yeah. By the way, do you get some, like, a break in price there because you mention them so often on this program?
Before we could go in, we had to show our ID and we had to show our vaccination card.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's normal.
Mm-hmm. But aren't they violating your rights by forcing you to do that?
No, because I don't have to go there. I can go to Fleming's.
Mm-hmm. And what if Fleming says the same thing?
Well, if they do, then I guess
He goes back to Jack in the Box.
Yeah.
Or gets a Whopper.
I'll go to Tad's.
Yeah. Yeah, Tad's Steakhouse.
Tad's.
So wait a minute, hold on a second, Jack. So, Ross, is this kind of idiocy running rampant in Australia, or has this kind of dialogue been kind of muted?
You're gonna need to get me more specific.
I mean, are there many Phils in Australia saying, hey, it's my right not to get vaccinated?
No.
That's because same kind of right.
Let him finish, Phil, please. Yes, what?
No, only reason why there isn't a lot of those is because Australia's understanding of freedom isn't as militarized as the United States as their idea of freedom. We still believe in responsibility, things like that. So it's our civil responsibility to get vaccinated in order to protect the community as a whole.
Okay, how about that, Phil? Civil responsibility.
Well, when people are asked to stand up to do the right thing, they usually do. Look, during World War II, how many people volunteered to go and fight in the war, not because they had to, they wanted to, and
here in this country, Phil, here in this country, during the earlier part of the last century, people were volunteering to lynch people. There's a lot of volunteerism going on.
I would point out that the United States has had a draft for every major conflict that the world has been involved in. Australia has not. And yet we have committed troops in every single armed conflict since we were a country in 1901.
So Jeff, you want to say
all our
something?
troops are volunteers.
Jeff? Yeah, Jeff.
Unmute, Jeff.
Turn your mic on,
You're
Jeff.
muted, Jeff.
Can't
no,
read
no,
lips.
he's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah,
okay.
How am I now?
Good.
Yeah, fine.
Can you hear me now? Okay. Sorry. Yeah, I've been to Australia, and I had to take. There was a medication that I used to have to take all the time with a needle and all of that.
It's called heroin.
I was just gonna say.
No, it's like,
Anyway, it was something you needed to
You get
take.
that vein up.
right. So anyway, I go there, and I don't know where to go. So I say, do I talk to a doctor? What do I do? He says, just go to the hospital. Tell them what you got to do. I go to the hospital. They give me the injection. That's it. They took care of everyone in that country very well.
Well, I think there's a larger sense of the well-being of everybody. Am I right about
Yes.
that, Ross? I mean, that the best public service you can perform is by being a good citizen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Take care of the Aborigines.
I mean,
You take care of you Native Americans first.
Hey, no. It's not a whataboutism. I'm asking.
No. Yeah.
The Aborigines.
Oh,
Do they?
In regards to, I'm sorry, Phil, missed the side of your set. Good
what is the state? Let me ask you this then. What is the status these days of Aborigines in Australia? Are they?
They're the same as everyone else.
Okay. Well, Phil, have you ever been to Australia, Phil?
Phil, I actually missed the start of your question, so I can't actually answer it. So what
We
was
all
the
missed
question?
it.
He was asking about the Aborigines. What about the Aborigines? He doesn't like whataboutisms, but then he said, "What about the Aborigines?"
Not what about? I'm not. But I'm saying that if everything is so beautiful in Australia, how are they treating the Aborigines? I think that you got rose-colored glasses.
Well, wait a
on.
minute. Hold on a second. You let Ross answer that question.
I will admit that the historical treatment of Indigenous persons in this country is about on par as most other white countries' treatment of Indigenous persons in their country. But we have been making great steps in trying to improve conditions. We are trying, greatly to improve the health outcomes of Indigenous persons, welfare for education, uplifting programs.
Mm-hmm.
There are a number of Indigenous-based initiatives to improve education and employment opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say that we're perfect at it, but we're also not denying that it is a problem.
Okay. Well, my point is that every country has issues, and every country has.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Ours is called Republicans.
Right.
The issues that we have existed before, and we can't judge people based on what was the norm.
You're doing a lot of what
But
about?
we can judge people on their choices, Phil. And your choice is, hooray for me and screw society.
Let me ask you this question, Ross. In Australia, Phil, when I'm talking, they can't hear you. Okay, but Ross, down in Australia, because you got to get that whole system of yours fixed. But in Australia, how many parties are there?
17 at last count.
17 parties. And how many of those would you say have a fighting chance to win?
4.
4. Okay. We only have 2 in this country. If you want to talk about elections being rigged, only
the
2.
Republicans stand no chance.
Huh?
And the Republicans stand no chance.
Oh, yes, they do.
I mean, we have the same
I thought we were talking
political
about
parties.
humanitarian.
What were you saying, Ross?
Sorry. We have the same kind of political parties in the United States. So we have our Conservative Party, which is currently in power at the moment, and our Democrat equivalent party.
Mm-hmm.
They're the 2 main parties. Then there's the Green Party, which is environmentalism. Then we have fringe parties and independents who form the basis. They're more single focus parties, so like gun reform, and hunting and fishing and things like that. We have parties for those.
Do you have the parties do you have the parties like they have on Monty Python, like the Very Silly Party?
Yeah, we do. We do.
Okay.
Yeah, but they never get any votes. So
Yeah.
but because we use preferential voting, so basically every party preferences another party. So if they don't get enough votes, their votes go to someone else.
Yeah.
What happens is,
I just
what
wanted to
happens
ask-
is that. Sorry, Alan.
No, go ahead. Good.
Let Ross just finish his thought.
So basically, what happens is that there's usually only three parties that really form government. It's what we call the Labour Party, the Workers' Party, the Liberal National Coalition, that's a Republican, and the Greens. Are the main contenders to the parties.
Okay. What were you going to say, Alan?
What do Australians think of Trump?
We laughed relentlessly when we found out he was president.
So did we. How about that?
And then we started crying where I work because I work in a public building. I realized that at some point, if he ever came here, I'd have to facilitate him. And I'm like, ugh.
Or not.
What do you mean facilitate him?
I work in ceremonial duties, so when heads of state come to Australia, they come to where I work.
Oh, I see. Okay, all right. So, I don't think he ever went to Australia during.
He never did. He never did.
Yeah, you're very lucky.
Only sitting president since Truman to never actually visit Australia.
Jack, you got anything to say here?
Oh, wait a minute. Let me wake up here. I was going to ask Phil this. Do you feel that we all have a responsibility to the other people in our societies?
Absolutely. Yes.
So,
we have a responsibility to the other people in our societies and other societies. But that's how I feel. Vernon likes to say that because I vote in one fashion, that my vote is for to put other people down. But that's not how I feel, and that's not how I vote.
Is that what you're saying?
So right now, at the moment, are you proud of the conservative element in America and what they're doing?
I am proud that people can make their own decisions.
No, Phil, that's not the question that was asked. Answer his question.
Just because I don't agree and I chose a different path doesn't mean that other people have to choose the same path.
I'm not saying that. Are you proud?
That's what you say.
Are you proud of what used to be called the Conservative Party in America and the choices that they are representing?
I don't really. I am fiscally conservative, but I tend to be more more leaning towards John Birch Society rather than the Republican Party.
Do you even know what the John Birch Society was? It doesn't even really exist anymore. You're a member?
He's got a card. He's got a membership card.
Absolutely.
What's the number on it? One?
A horrible racist. Phil, the John Birch Society was a horrible racist.
They were anti-Semitic, Phil.
Yes.
They were anti-Semitic.
They were demonizing the United Nations for
58. They had a reading list that contained the Articles of Zion. What is the
Protocols of the Elders of Zion?
That's right.
Zion. Now, if you look at the Arab countries and the Palestinians, they also believe in the Articles of Zion, and they're pushing that. Now, as a person that wants to be educated about things, I think I should know what these other people are saying. And
okay, let's go back to an old question, Phil. Did you consider Earl Warren a communist?
The Supreme Court Justice?
Yeah.
I like Earl Warren. No.
I know you didn't like him. That's not the question I asked you. Did you consider him a communist?
I don't know that he was a communist or not, but he was definitely.
Well, you should know because the John Birch Society says he was.
I can't read everything, but he's probably was. Yeah, and so was Edward House. And so
what does a communist mean to you? What do you define as a communist?
Me.
Good line, Alex. So, tell me, what do you see a communist being for?
I see them being the elitists that want to control the government so that everyone else works for them.
Well, what about?
In other words, Mitch McConnell
and Donald Trump.
Yeah, what about down here in Texas when we got a cockamamie governor that wants to tell women what they can do with their bodies?
I think that it's important to protect the unborn.
Well,
The unborn should not be able to vote.
The unborn have no rights, Phil.
Well, that's in your
To
opinion.
begin with,
No.
judging life by judging life by a heartbeat is not what we judge life by. We judge it by brain activity.
You judge it. by
No,
brain.
no. When a doctor says this person can't live, only their heart is going, they're brain dead, they generally consider them dead when the brain is dead.
Brain dead. They decide whether they're going to pull the plug or not, but they don't consider them dead. If they were,
Phil, I'm just telling you, the heartbeat does not determine whether you're alive or not. It just
If a heartbeat means conception, does that mean that I can take out life insurance on a fetus?
yes, you can. And
Does that mean that I can start being charged for child support?
yes.
Does that mean that in the event of an action that someone can get charged with manslaughter if my unborn child is killed?
Yes.
Then why haven't those laws been enacted yet?
Well, they
Why
are.
is it only in regards to
Only
abortion?
in Texas.
They are. Why don't you tell Ross about the fact that if you are in a traffic accident and let's say you're a drunk driver and you kill a pregnant mother, you're charged with 2 deaths, the child and the mother.
In some states.
In most
It's not
states.
universal.
It depends on how
It's
far
not
along the
universal,
pregnancy
Phil.
is. There's a limit to where, that the fetus can survive on its own, and I think it's like 16 weeks.
22 weeks.
yeah, my argument is if it can survive outside the mother's body, then it is human life. Okay.
Yeah.
And that doesn't come until about 16 weeks in. Up until that point, it's a zygote, and then it's a little slightly bigger than that, and
That means technically tapeworms have rights.
yes, tapeworms have
Only
rights.
in the Republican Party.
I grew up in a time where people were dehumanized. They were called zipperheads and kikes and other things to dehumanize
They
them.
were called talk show hosts too.
You effort at dehumanizing.
Yeah, but you're talking about the John Birch Society that was doing those things.
John Birch Society kind of deals with a lot of conspiracy, but
Phil, the John Birch Society is anti-Semitic, has always been known as being anti-Semitic, and has been singled out as being anti-Semitic.
I have a friend, Glenn. Glenn is Jewish beyond Jewish, and he also belongs to the John Birch
Well, then
Society.
he's a fucking moron.
Yeah.
The issue with outlawing abortions is going to result in numbers of women being killed by by other means. Abortion, having regulated abortions are a safe, effective procedure. By making them illegal means that there will be women who will take their own lives or will be killed in trying to deal with that illegally.
And by the way, let me just say one last thing because we're running out of time here. I know you've got to get going here, Jack.
Thank God.
So, the thing that I think is important to know is that we are at a point here with abortion where, for instance, Planned Parenthood in many areas is having to close down. And Planned Parenthood abortions are only a small part of what they do. Very minor. The rest of what they do is women's reproductive health and welfare and so on.
Mammograms.
Mammograms, things like that. And women are not getting those mammograms because people like the governor of Texas, who thank God is in a wheelchair and somebody has the ability to roll him in front of a car sometime soon.
Yeah, baby, I'm for it.
Yeah.
I'll pay to see that.
Hey, just not to change the subject, but breaking news here.
Yeah.
Alec Baldwin shot somebody on the set of a movie, killed the person, and injured another person on a film set.
Yeah, 2 people.
Was it an accident?
Yeah, it must have been. I was on a film set.
Yeah. And anyway, hey, listen, Jack's got to go. I got to go. I want to we always like having you, Ross. You're always an intelligent sort to have on this panel. So is Alan. So is our old friend up here, John Larkin. Jeff Stein, thank you so much for being with us. Phil.
Note for Alan.
Thank you.
For Alan.
What?
Google the zone of death, Yellowstone, and read about it. Okay?
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Interesting read.
Thanks,
That's
John.
where we can all take Phil on a vacation. Thank you, Phil. I do appreciate the call tonight. Vernon, of course, thank you, and thank you to Jack Bishop. Everybody, give a big wave goodbye, and I'll give a big wave goodbye at you. Okay, there they go. Okay, you're probably going to see me, kind of out of sync here. Let me just get rid of them, and then I will get back in sync as soon as I don't have the Zoom going any longer, and I will just slowly get back into sync. Come on, faster. I want to get back into sync before the show is over. Anyway, that's it for tonight. We'll see you again tomorrow night. Jack Bishop is next with The Intersection. Give him a call, and we'll see you tomorrow night, 10:30, same time, same station in life. In the meantime, if you see her, tell her I love her. And by the way, get a vaccination if you haven't had one, and wear a mask if you haven't been vaccinated. Bye-bye, everybody.